Hello, hello, hello. I'm Casey Johnson Oxaway, and welcome to my little corner of the internet where I love to spread the gospel of pleasure, motherhood, and sexual empowerment. I am here to revolutionize how humans experience sex, pleasure, and motherhood by normalizing self-care, normalizing the fact that we are indeed sensual and sexual beings, and normalizing having desires. My teaching and coaching focuses on you becoming embodied, empowered, and fully self-expressed. I teach you how to tune into your body and revive your body's sensation so that you may feel pleasure, passion, and desire like never before. All right, and today we're going to talk all about emotions. So when it comes to burnout, and this is kind of important to know, it's actually defined by three specific components according to Amelia Nagoski, and they write about this in their book Burnout. So the first one is emotional exhaustion. That's the fatigue that comes from caring too much for too long, and emotional exhaustion can happen when we get stuck in an emotion that we can't move through the tunnel. The second component is depersonalization, the depletion of empathy, caring, and compassion. And the third one is decreased sense of accomplishment. And this is an unconquerable sense of futility, feeling that nothing you do makes a difference. So all of these components are super important to explore, but today I really want to focus on emotional exhaustion, because I feel like this component is something that is super alive for a lot of us today. So there's so much happening in the world right now. I feel like that goes without saying, and we're all feeling a little bit fatigued, and it's not necessarily around caring too much or that we've been caring for too long. It's just like there's so much to care about, right? And it's a little difficult to know where we even put our attention. So I can imagine that a lot of us are getting stuck in an emotion that we're having a really hard time navigating our way through. I know for me, the biggest emotion I'm currently navigating is anxiety. I swear that I've been having the biggest major bouts of anxiety and panic attacks that seem to come out of nowhere, and they leave me feeling like super fearful, and it can be really triggered by anything. So I find this happens mostly when I take myself out of the present moment and my thoughts and my focus are in the past or somewhere in the future. Neither one of those places I have control over. And the fact that I don't have control just puts me in a place of fear. But I find when I bring myself back into the present moment and back into my body, I'm reminded that in this moment right now, all is truly well. And I can usually bring myself back to the center, or back to my center, by focusing on my breath. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. What to do when your emotions start to run the show and you begin to believe that you are your emotions instead of believing that your emotions are something that you are experiencing. And I'm going to teach you a tool that really supported me and continues to support me when my emotions become super overwhelming, and they become super overwhelming to the point where I shut down. So I no longer go into a spiral when it comes to my emotions, because with this tool that I'm gonna teach you, it brings me back into my body super quickly, and I can breathe through what I'm experiencing and bring myself back into my body, like I mentioned before, and back into the present moment where I realize I'm actually safe. So to begin, there's a few things that you need to know, and a few key things that you need to understand about emotions. So emotions are actually meant to be transient. Your emotions are here to tell you something. They are a signal that tells you to do something about your current situation. Emotions are actually designed as a part of our information feedback circuit, and our emotions are meant to last 90 seconds. all right? 90 seconds. But emotions have a tendency to last longer than 90 seconds because we have a tendency to fuel our emotions with our thoughts. We do this by telling ourselves the same triggering situation over and over and over again. And when this happens, our emotions stop being emotions and they become what is considered to be a mood. We also fuel our emotions with our behavior. So when we are reactive instead of proactive, we keep reinforcing that same pattern over and over and over and over again. So if you experience the same emotions repeatedly, it probably means you hold a disempowering belief, or you have a desire to control the outcome of a situation and need to change something, or not only just change something in your life, but maybe how you even think about that something that is occurring in your life. Avoiding a certain emotion makes you hold on to it just as much as ruminating over it does. So Eckhart Tolle has a really great quote around this in The Power of Now, and it goes, an emotion usually represents an amplified, energized thought pattern, and because it's often overpowering energetic changes, it is not easy to stay present enough to be able to watch it. It wants to take you over, and it usually succeeds unless there is enough presence in you. So basically, if you allow your emotions to go unchecked, they will become patterns that you have no control over until you get present to how you've allowed your emotions to run the show. So to start letting go of your emotions, you must first become aware of them by becoming more in touch with your body and the way you feel. See, it all comes back to embodiment and being in connection with your body. So many of us are stuck in our heads, all right? Like, we don't live in our body, we live in our heads. And we're unable to tap into our bodies in a way that would allow our emotions to move through us. So how do we stop replaying the same emotions over and over again and ruminating over what we're feeling inside of our bodies? I'm gonna share an exercise that has allowed me to transform how I experience my emotions and allows me to be present with what I'm feeling and gives my emotions and feelings a safe space to be felt, seen, and sometimes expressed, so that I can complete the emotional cycle and move on about my business and my day. And this tool is called the body meditation. So I'm gonna do a quick body meditation with you. And when you do the body meditation, you wanna make sure you're lying down in a comfortable position. And what you're gonna do is pay attention to the sensations, such as hot, cold, contracting, expanding, rather than emotion or the thought. You're gonna speak the sensations that you're experiencing in your body out loud. And you're gonna keep scanning your body and keep speaking those sensations out loud that you feel in your body. And if you have a strong emotion or thought pattern, you can speak that too, but you wanna keep returning to the sensations. If you feel nothing, then you just wanna keep scanning for sensations and feel them. And once you feel them and you become sensitive enough in the practice, you won't experience like numbness or disconnection anymore. So I wanna give you an example of this actually in action, right? So real life example. So whenever I had difficult conversations, particularly with my husband, I would just completely shut down and fall apart. And my reaction to difficult conversations that made me feel uncomfortable was to cry. So it was like a release, but I would cry so much that it would cause me to not be able to have a conversation, like an effective conversation. So everything would just fall apart. When I started to practice body meditation and really began to understand what sensations came up with the emotions that were bubbling inside of my body, and that a lot of the times the sensations I was feeling were actually so overpowering, overwhelming that I was just reactive, and my reaction was crying. I was able to begin to just like sit with the sensation and be like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable. And usually I felt like the discomfort in my chest, and it would come on like a knot in my throat, and it would feel like a contraction in my chest. And I would just be like, oh my gosh, I just have to like get out of here. And it would just release in tears and tears. And like, it was kind of like a freeze / flight response, because I'd freeze up and then I'd want to run away. And so when I started to notice that the sensations were happening in my body during uncomfortable conversations, I was able to actually, like, whenever the sensations would come up during a conversation we were having, I would actually stop the conversation and be like, something that you said has triggered a sensation inside of me that feels very uncomfortable. And instead of reacting with tears, I just need to step away, like really feel into what I'm experiencing, and then I'll be able to come back and have the conversation. And the more that I practice that, the shorter time that it took for me to gain my composure, to the point where I would be able to feel the sensation and be like, oh, that's a discomfort. I'm very uncomfortable in this conversation. That's okay. I'm going to hold it. Sometimes I'd be like, I need to like push pause. I will come back to that sensation and that emotion later, but right now I need to finish my conversation. And sometimes I was able to like move with the discomfort that I was experiencing and still have a powerful conversation. So I'd acknowledge it and be like, ooh, that does not feel good, but I still need to continue with the conversation. Now, it is important as you practice this and you begin to close the gap in what the emotion that you're actually experiencing and the sensations that emotion causes inside of your body, not to push your edge around it. So I don't want you to be like, well, I'm gonna push through, because no, you might end up like causing more pain or damage later than if you were to just pause for a second, to breathe, to come back into your center, and then continue on with the activity at hand, whether it's a difficult conversation or whether it's, you experiencing like a trigger around, like, for example, I went to the store the other day. I forgot my mask. I am still navigating this, okay? Like not wearing mask. It is really difficult for me right now. And I was like, all right, I really gotta go to the store. I walked here. I gotta go in. And I did. And I noticed the sensations of I was uncomfortable, I was feeling anxiety, I was feeling nervous, and I was just allowing myself to experience it and breathe through it. And then I got out of the store as fast as I could, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna push that edge again. I'm not gonna forget my mask in that situation because I'm personally not ready. So you might be feeling something similar around that, or around difficult conversations, or even just being social. And I just invite you to just notice what an edge is for you, like what feels like uncomfortable, but to the point where you're not like super overwhelmed. And if you feel like you're going past that kind of borderline of overwhelm into another space that just does not feel good to you, like sensational in your body, then I invite you to pull back a little, and that is more than okay. So it's a practice, and body meditation is something that I invite you to practice every single day. And for me, I actually practice it all day, every day, because it really allows me to connect to my body and like keep my center and stay in my body and flow through my emotions instead of clinging on to an emotion such as anxiety or depression or fear, and allowing it to run the show or to project like how I experience the world, because I want to move through the world in a really centered, powerful way. And if I allow my emotions to kind of get away from me. I know that I'll just be moving through the world in a very reactive way, and I don't want to be reactive. I want to be proactive with how I'm feeling, how I'm experiencing the world, how I'm experiencing myself inside of the world. And believe you me, it's a practice. So I could go on and on and on about this, but it's a really beautiful place to start. And it's also a beautiful place to start if you are experiencing burnout or exhaustion, which I often do as a mother of an almost 2-year-old. And I just kind of like hold on to the burnout, and I notice it, and I notice like, oh, what is this? What is burnout trying to tell me? Maybe I need to rest. Ooh, what is exhaustion trying to tell me? Maybe I need to like go take a seat and just rest for a second, or ask for help. Like write a list of things I need support with and go ask for what I need. So again, can you imagine, like, emotions are only meant to be felt for 90 seconds. They're not supposed to be something that you continue to feel. And I know, like, it's easier said than done. Like, oh yeah, it's only 90 seconds. Easier said than done. Easier to say than to actually put into practice. But body meditation is a beautiful tool that you can use to put that into practice and allow you to play with navigating through emotions, like the sensations you're feeling in your body, and how you can choose something different. All right, I hope this was supportive. Go check out some more of my other videos. If you're like more interested in pleasure, sexual empowerment, motherhood, mindset, I talk about it all. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. But until then, stay wild, sexy, and free.